Welcome to the Wynn Show, where everybody comes to win. I'm your hostess, Wynn Godbold, and we hope that in watching these interviews, you will be inspired to take action on making your impact in the world. Remember, nothing is impossible. The very word says, I'm possible. Enjoy the show. Hey, today on this episode of The Wynn Show, we actually have with us Kevin Hoover, who has started a nonprofit called Hug Your People. And we really hope that this conversation with Kevin and how that came about and how we harvest the good in our lives is going to speak to you today and inspire you to take an action in your circle of influence or in your community. So welcome to The Wynn Show, Kevin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're delighted. So will you just start off and tell our folks what is Hug Your People?
Hug Your People is a movement, really. It's a vibe. It started with my son who was diagnosed with cancer in March. And he really has just the best outlook. He's 4 years old, the best outlook you can have when you're going through something like this. And so he actually started saying, hug your people.
Really?
Yeah, and it was one of those things where we didn't, and then we started saying it, and the more we started saying it, the more it became sort of a mantra for positivity and a mantra for love and growth and healing. And so when it came time and we started putting the pieces together to help other families and other kids, it was just a natural fit of more people should hug their people.
I love that. Oh my goodness. So when did you really hone in on it? Like,
Oh, it was.
When did it really become a part of y'all?
That's the big mystery, because everything was such a blur when you're going through it. You know, me and my wife, we're going through the diagnosis of cancer with my son. We're trying to keep our lives and our professional lives going, and so we really have trouble with, like, that was the exact moment. I think the moment that the idea took place was when my son didn't want to go anywhere in a wheelchair or on a gurney. He wanted to go in a wagon.
Okay.
So going to get x-rays, going to get treatment, everything was done in a wagon, and all the doctors were like, oh, okay, well, this is new.
Okay.
You know.
So let's back that up a little bit. So you get a diagnosis for your son, okay? And then how does the wagon come into play? So you get this, and first off, y'all have to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
And then were you at the hospitals going for the different treatments and x-rays is what you're talking about? And you guys brought a wagon from home with you, or what? How did that happen?
I wish that was it was really, I don't know. We believe in God, so it was very much divine intervention.
Okay.
One of my wife's colleagues had a collapsible wagon.
Okay.
She brought it from her house in Charleston and she brought a bunch of stuff into our hospital room with it. And she said, I never use this wagon. Could you guys use it? And my wife and I both were like, no, we're good. And my sister-in-law said, well, keep it, because we can take stuff to the car with it.
Okay.
And we're like, fine, we'll keep it. And then fast forward 2 weeks later, we were like, we don't know how to operate without it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it really was this gift from Ashley Brown, who was my wife's colleague, who said, here's a gift. She didn't know how to use it. We didn't know how to use it. We didn't know if we would use it. And it became the most valuable thing. And then my son saw it and was like, Daddy, I want to ride in the wagon.
Okay.
And so then that became his wagon, and then it kind of grew into this thing, and now we give those wagons to other families.
Okay. So here you are, a work colleague of your wife is just reaching out, being of service to your family.
Exactly.
You're going through a hard time. She brings stuff to you in the hospital, and her only way to transport it's just in this wagon she doesn't use for anything else.
Right.
Wow.
And now it is what it is.
Yeah. So tell everybody what it is. Like, what is the whole that you're doing, this movement that you're doing, and what do they need to know about these wagons? Like, what's the deal?
It's just really amazing. And so everything happened by accident. And now today, Hug Your People, we're establishing nonprofit status. We've filed with the state of South Carolina. We're working on our federal. We've donated. We've got 25 wagons funded that we've given away. It's amazing to see. We went down to Florida for proton radiation treatment. So we give every kid a wagon, a pillowcase that has their favorite little toy or action figure on it. Oh. We give them a blanket so they can stay warm, because it's cold and chemotherapy makes your blood thin. And then we give them a toy, a small little toy. And if they have siblings, we also include the siblings in the toy gift. And so we deliver this, this sort of safe place for them to experience their treatment. But also the back end of that is the parents have a place to put all the stuff.
Okay.
So that was kind of how it grew. And then as we showed up with our wagon at the hospitals, doctors and nurses were like, oh, that's great. And then we had some other nonprofits say, hey, I've got a family who could use one of those. And
Okay.
it started just word of mouth growing, and then here we are. We've just been really fortunate to have the network of people that have funded so many wagons, and we were able to generate about $12,000 for Alex's lemonade stand through that, and we have hats that we sell that goes directly to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota for cancer research for kids, and
Okay.
it's just this.
This is a movement. It's a whole big thing.
It is a movement.
So we start, and the start to this is your own experience. Your son is diagnosed with cancer. Wagon shows up in your life. Talk to us a little bit about, because I'm not sure that people really understand what it means, the stuff, right? And what do you mean you have to lug the stuff? Can you kind of give us like a snapshot of life around cancer treatment, children, and what does lugging the stuff mean? What's the impact of this wagon?
It is. If you have kids, if you have toddlers, it's the equivalent of going on a week vacation 1 day a week.
Wow.
If you can imagine. So we wake every Thursday. I wake up at about 4. We leave the house at about 6 a.m. and we don't get home till 6 p.m. So we have a 4-year-old who's going through some unpleasant things. So you have to make sure you have all the bases covered. You're going to a hospital, so all the food is not available. Only some of the food is available. So you have to take all the snacks and the coloring books and the iPad and the toys and the blocks and the blankets and the change of clothes and everything you might need over the course of that day. And so plus my stuff, my wife and I work from the hospital, so I've got my briefcase, my wife's stuff, and so we're kind of compacting everything into a 1-day excursion of not knowing what's going to happen.
Okay.
And so because chemotherapy you take different cycles and it can hit you in different ways, so you got to be just prepared for about anything. And so every week, that's why the wagon really became important, because we're basically taking all the stuff we think we might need and going to this location and hoping that we got everything.
And so there's from the house to the car, from the car to the hospital, from the hospital to the car, and the car to the house again, all in one day. You're making all of those transitions.
Yes.
Okay. And so when you get to the hospital, there's a space to sort of spread it out, right?
There
Make
is.
yourself at home-ish, right? And so what happened then with the wagon itself is, you said, it becomes sort of a safe space where the kids are hanging out in their wagons instead of getting on a gurney or
So we
into a hospital bed kind of thing.
Exactly.
Is that what's going on?
It becomes their control is a big thing for kids, especially going through this. And so when they get to the hospital, the stuff goes on the bed and the kid stays in the wagon.
Wow.
Because
Okay, yeah.
that's where Baxley is comfortable. And what we noticed was that was happening with more kids. We had, when we were at Proton Radiation in Florida, we went down to University of Florida Hospital for 7 weeks, and we had 5 kids in our little pod, and we gave every kid a wagon. And the nurses were noticing that no one got out of their wagon until it was time for them to go back. They were just sitting in their wagon with their pillow and their toys and playing their stuff and doing their thing. And that was their room.
Oh,
it was
wow.
really amazing.
So let me ask you this. When you go into, so let's say you're going to Florida and you're in a pod. So there's 4 others with y'all. You make the 5th, or there was 5 with y'all.
Right. There was 4 to 6 at any given time.
Okay. And you gave 5 wagons. So when you packed your car to go to Florida, you packed it with 5 additional wagons?
No.
Okay, let's talk about what does that look like then?
So we buy the wagons from Sam's Club.
Okay.
And we've actually contacted the manufacturer. We're trying to work something out with them for direct.
Yeah.
But Sam's Club was the best price we could find on the wagons, and it was also, they ship. So we've sent wagons to Boston. We've sent wagons to Miami. So we can ship the wagons, and then of course our good friend Amazon can ship all the pillows and toys and stuff.
Oh my gosh!
And so we really go all over. We've sent one to Seattle, and so Sam's Club allows us the opportunity to not just impact our local, but also impact anyone that we come into communication with. Yeah.
And so all of these places that you've shipped to all over the country has been word of mouth, that somebody knows somebody who knows y'all, or an extended member of your family, or now one of the other children who's received a wagon, and they just contact Hug Your People? Is that what they look you up on
Yeah,
the web for that?
Facebook, email. We go through a couple of organizations. Courageous Kids out of Charleston is one. Flash has really connected us with a few people there. So it really is just an organic word of mouth. Hey, they need a wagon. Can you get them a wagon? The answer is always yes.
Okay.
Send us what they like. We'll send them all the stuff.
Oh my goodness.
And that's that. And so it's really, it's just become this bond. And now that we've got the hats, we send all the kids hats, so they get Hug Your People hats they can wear instead of, the toboggans or whatever they're into. And so it really was this just really, we felt like God was just kind of moving us in the right spot, giving us the bandwidth to really tackle that as well as tackle our own fight. And that was really what we're seeing is we're healing through that. We're healing through the giving. And it's really the blessing to our family to be able to do that.
So that's the other thing. I mean, we're talking about this, and it sounds so upbeat, and it's wonderful, and you're providing this for other families, and everything. It sounds all roses. But the bottom line to this is your family's doing this in the midst of the fight against cancer. What is that like?
Ooh,
I mean,
it's a roller coaster ride. You know, if you look at, we're now, this week is our 33rd week of treatment. So on March 22nd, we were airlifted from Conway to Charleston with kidney failure and a tumor. That was the first time we ever heard the word tumor.
Okay.
It was March 22nd. April 1st, we were officially diagnosed in Charleston. So big picture, this is still very new to us. And it was really, thrown into the fire. So, but going through 33 weeks of it, and we've gotten a lot of good news lately. Baxley is winning his fight, and so we can now approach it from a different perspective. But the last 7 months have been really challenging as far as being a parent, being an entrepreneur, being a dad, being a person, really. As you can imagine, where Hug Your People came in was a little bit of reprieve of how can we take our pain and make it progress? How can we take this thing that should break us apart and use it to build us together? And we had no idea it was Hug Your People, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then the real part is we cue off Baxley. Baxley's my son.
Right.
We cue off him a lot, and he loves more than anything to give another kid a wagon. Loves it. They high five. It's like a motorcycle club. It's the weirdest thing. They wave at each other in the halls, and it really is the cutest thing ever. But he loves just giving another kid a wagon. It's kind of like, the way I interpret it, it's his language of saying it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so through that, we've kind of found our source of healing, our source of strength, and our source of this isn't for nothing. Like, we have to make this a positive somehow. But it's been tough. It's been real tough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So on top of what you're facing as a family, you're sourcing wagons and connecting with Amazon, and figuring out, I'm sure now you have a system to how do we get the information about children, find out their likes so that you can send the right pillows and cases and the toys and things like that. And is there a sibling that needs a toy as well? So was there ever a time, not specific to Baxley and what you were going through there, but with the wagon and setting the systems and developing the movement, where you felt like, oh, we just can't do this anymore?
Oh, yeah.
And what was the thing or things that made you go, okay, well, we'll do one more wagon. We'll keep going. What was it that, how do you move beyond, this is impossible, we can't do it?
Yeah, and that's completely natural, and I feel that still. And it's all, I'm a mindset kind of guy, and so very much controlling your mindset around it, and what can I control, what can't I control. But really, it comes down to, you walk through the halls that we have to walk through every week, and you realize how lucky and blessed we are to have the choices we have. And so it becomes, and I had this conversation, and I talked about it a little bit on my podcast, and a good friend of mine gave me really great insight of when I feel like that, to understand that Baxley's a light of hope for a lot of people. And him giving a wagon is a light of hope. So every time I feel like I just can't, I'm exhausted.
Right.
I just can't. I think of what he's feeling. I think of what other kids out there are feeling that are not as fortunate as he is, or not winning the battle like he's winning. And I say, well, for them, I have to, we say at Ronald McDonald House a lot. So we're around people constantly who are having very different battles than we are.
Okay.
And so I think looking at it, most of the time when it's I can't, it's not an I can't, it's an I don't want to. And it's and I won't. And so I have to talk myself out of I can't and say, this is not, I'm choosing not to. It's not that I physically can't. It's not that I mentally can't. Right. It's that I feel overwhelmed. Why do I do that? Because I'm trying to control all the things that I can't control. So let me peel back. What can I control? I can control giving a wagon.
Okay.
I can control smiling. I can control being okay to cry. I can control all of that. What I can't control is cancer.
So I think that's really, that's huge. And even so, for people who are facing cancer or facing something in their life, that piece, going back to the what is it that I can control? Because that thing, cancer, I can't control. Here's what I can control. How I choose to look at that, giving a wagon, if I want to cry, right. And I think I can imagine that's very hard for people when you're in it to have that sort of clarity of mind to say, wait a minute, right. Let me get back to what are my controllables. I would imagine that a lot of people, Kevin, can't even realize that why they feel the way they do is because they're trying to control things they can't control. Like, there is anything I can control? I just can imagine that a lot of people feel that way. So for you can understand that and you have the clarity of mind, even inside of your situation, to see that. Where does that come from for you? It's very new. Because you don't know what you don't know. And so I didn't think like that all the time before, even though I studied those things and tried to do those things. Really, when we got diagnosed with cancer, it just all came at me at 100 miles an hour. And so all the things that you hope you would do and the things that you hope you wouldn't, like when you think about it, if you have to go through a big life-changing struggle, you hope you're resilient, you hope you're courageous, you hope you are strong, you hope you are okay, and you never know until you really go through it. So it all came at me, and I got to the point where I broke down and received it, and I just took the punches. And then from that, I said, okay, I can't be down. My son is fighting. His little bald head's. He's worried about sunburn on his head, not cancer. And so I can't show up. I have Poor pitiful me when he's the one fighting the battle.
So the shift really happened when I realized and recognized that if I shift my focus to outward and shift my focus from not helping myself but to helping other people, not serving me, serving my son, not serving me, serving my wife. When I shift that focus, that little tiny shift, and it seems like a big shift, but it was really a decision. I just decided. Yeah. And as soon as that happened, everything started opening up, and it didn't make things necessarily go away. It didn't make the hard stuff go away. Right. It put the hard stuff in perspective.
Okay, that's really big right there. Two things you just said. One is it wasn't really like it wasn't a 180.
Right.
It was just, I decided that I will focus outward and serve my son and serve my wife. Decision. Boom. And we all had that ability to decide. You were talking about that you had the breakdown, and that's when everything opened up. Yeah. That's the other big piece. So there's the decision piece, and then there's that release almost. The breakdown's the release, and then that's when everything starts to open back up. Yeah. Like the relief comes in, and you can kind of go. And I think sometimes people don't want to, men don't cry, or I'm going to be the strong woman, or, I'm going to whatever. And the truth of the matter is, it's when you let go that everything then turns.
Absolutely.
We really need to get to the letting go faster in order to have it better.
We try to control too much. And if I walk through, and trust me, I did. I tried to control cancer.
Yeah.
I tried.
I can imagine.
They let me know that was impossible really quickly, and that I was negatively impacting a lot of other aspects of my life because of it. And so I had to really learn by being thrown into the fire, so to speak. And once I learned it, then I hear a lot of, how do you do this? Like, how do you grow your business? How do you stay so positive? How do you start a nonprofit? How do you do all this and do that? Yeah. And I say, I'm doing that so that I can do that. I'm starting the nonprofit so that I can fight cancer.
Survive this.
Yeah. And it's so it very much, that was the big shift for me. It's not a how do you do this and this. It's no. Those two are directly linked.
Yeah. So that's a big deal right there to say this, hug your people and the wagons is what's helping me get through all of the other parts of this.
100%.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit again about, I want to go back to the pod in Florida.
Okay.
I just can't get over that because I want to get a visual of this, and I want our folks to be able to really get a visual of this. So you guys know you're going down.
Yeah.
You pre-ship 5 wagons down there?
It was very much like, I'll walk you through it.
Yeah, please do, because I think this is a good visual.
Surreal experience ever. So we were doing something called proton radiation.
Okay.
So basically 5 days a week, they're going to shoot a laser into my son at the tumor.
Okay.
So he had to go under anesthesia 5 days a week because he's 4, and he's not going to sit still for 30 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Even with cancer, you're 4 years old. I probably couldn't do it. So they were going to. So we were going to go in, and it was going to be Monday through Friday. We're going to get proton radiation, and it's when you do that, it's not an ER hospital, so there's no trauma there. It's everyone there is there for this.
Okay.
So it's kind of relaxed. Like in the lobby, there's a coffee shop. They play cool music. Everyone's wearing cool scrubs.
Okay.
It's kind of relaxed like that. They try to make it as good of an experience as possible. So we get there, and in the waiting area, or the room that you go and wait, there's 5 or 6 beds, and it's the same kids every day because it takes 7 weeks to do this treatment.
Okay.
So you see the same people, and sometimes
7 weeks.
7 weeks. So 5 days a week for 7 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, 33 treatments total, and we left the end of June and came back in mid-August. So we lived in Ronald McDonald House in Jacksonville, Florida for 7 weeks, a little over 7 weeks.
Okay.
So you see the same people, you get to form a relationship, you know the families, like I went to pizza with the dads, kind of thing, so it was really a really great community to be part of, but all the kids kind of hover and gather in the same room before they go back, and each one goes back at their own time. So and you just get to know people, and they all live at Ronald McDonald House, most of them do, so we eat with them, we play with them, we see them, and so we got to know them, and so over the course of the 7 weeks, we ended up giving 10 wagons away to people at Ronald McDonald House.
Okay.
5 of those wagons were people in our little pod, our little group. So every kid, if you can imagine, every kid waiting to go back for proton radiation, and every parent sitting in a chair, and every kid in a wagon, playing their games, watching their stuff. They would get out of the wagon, go get a toy, come back to their wagon, and every bed completely empty.
That must have been, I can just, now I'm getting this visual, and wow, what an incredible sight that must have been.
It was really amazing, and they would wave at each other. And
the age of the other kids, so your child is 4, but how old were the other children? What was kind of the range, you'd say?
From 18 months to 7 or 8 years old, 9 years old. We've had a 13-year-old. We gave one to a 19-year-old.
You did?
Yep, because he needed a wagon for his stuff, not for him.
But for his stuff
and his family. And so, and of course his likes were different, but we're happy to do it. And he saw the wagon and wanted one, and we were like, we're not saying no.
Yeah,
We'll find the money to fund it, and we did. And we gave him some Bluetooth headphones to listen to music and stuff like that. So it was really the ages range, and our mission is not to judge who needs it the most. Yeah. I think everybody needs one. Our mission is to, if someone says I'd like one, or we know someone who likes one, they get one.
Okay.
Period. We don't ask questions.
Wow. So, and one other thing, just to complete that visual of in the pod, parent, child, and wagon, parent, child, and wagon, And so when they would go back to have the radiation done, they allow them to ride in the wagon back to where it gets done?
No, they would have to get out of the wagon, get on the bed, because they would actually do the scans on the bed. Now, when my son goes at MUSC, when my son goes for any kind of scan or any kind of test or anything like that, he goes in a wagon.
Okay.
And at the last possible minute, he will get on a bed if they need him to. He's very particular about getting out of the wagon.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, I wondered about that. Kind of like at what set of doors do you have to leave the wagon outside, kind of thing.
And there are those doors, unfortunately. But we've gone to anesthesia. We've received anesthesia in the wagon. We receive chemo in the wagon. We take our blood pressure, our pulse, our temperature, everything that can happen in the wagon does. There are obviously some things that you just can't.
Yeah, sure.
But,
Okay.
Then you pile all the stuff in the wagon, put it in the corner, and call it a day.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So it's his wagon while you're in the hospital, and then it's y'all's wagon to pack up and haul in and out. And talk to us a little bit about the price on these things. Like, what does it take to give a person a wagon? What's the cost?
It really, we've done our best to make it as low as possible. So that's why we went to Sam's Club. We found the wagon. So really right now we're at about $130.
Okay.
That's the wagon, a brand new pillow, a pillowcase, a brand new blanket, and a toy. If there are siblings involved, obviously that impacts it a little bit. But we're really, if someone gives us $130, we can provide a wagon to somebody.
A wagon and all of its little
All the
pieces
little stuff
that gets to go with it.
Yep.
Okay. And so I'm just thinking that, we've got people who are going to be watching who are thinking this is an amazing idea, and they're going to know somebody who needs a wagon, or they're just going to be like, boy, I wish we'd had that for our kids. So I'm sure you must hear stories of that as well.
Yeah.
So how can we get money to you? And is it best to do it via money, or is it some other, do you prefer to come home and see a box from Amazon of assorted toys on your porch, or is it you've got a system now and it's money's the best way to do it, or what's the how does it work?
I have no intention of turning my living room into a toy store. We're
not housing anything.
We are very much the purchase to order kind of people, and so money is the best way because we do interact with the parents before we give a wagon. What is your child into? What do they like? What do the siblings like? How old are the siblings? Making sure that we're giving something that means something and is something familiar. That's important because we want to create that safe space. And by giving them things that they like, the wagon becomes less of a threat and more of a welcome. So money is the best way. And the best way now is to connect with me on social media or email me, and I can set up you can digitally transfer the money or send a check, whatever you like.
Okay.
And then once we get further along in the nonprofit, it'll be much easier for larger corporate donations and things like that.
And so where kind of are you in the process of that? And what does that process look like for folks who've never started nonprofits? You said you've got it with the state. You've finished your sort of hurdles and paperwork there, and you're going for your federal 501c3?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's
Okay.
right.
So how much longer in the process do you have of that?
Hopefully not too long. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll be completely a 501c3 with in America, and we've had a couple companies offer to be part of their budget or be part of their give programs and things like that, and so we're kind of holding off on that and really just going private donations right now.
Okay.
Because that's something we can handle, and we're still in the middle of our own fight, so. Yeah. We're kind of doing the behind the scenes work so that next July, once Baxley gets the all clear, we believe that's going to happen. Then we can kind of charge forward and say, okay, this is going to be something that our vision for it is really, we want something that Baxley can be involved with if he chooses. We've met so many kids really that have survived cancer and gone back to be nurses and doctors in oncology halls.
Wow.
So we would really love for this to grow into something where there's a scholarship for those kids.
You have a huge vision. That's fantastic.
Why go small? If we survive this, why go small?
Absolutely. So right now, we give away wagons and the things that, the pillows and the things that go with them. We have a vision, and we're in the process of the 501c3s. We have a vision for a big move. I mean, it is a movement, and it is happening organically.
It is.
But you have this vision for being able to give scholarships in time. Hopefully, Baxley will want to be a part of it, but you won't pressure him if he says no, right?
Not a bit.
Not a bit. Okay. Okay. So at this moment in time, and like you just said to us, we're still in the middle of our own fight, you know. So is there any kind of like volunteer support that you need, or we're just kind of doing our thing, and then when we can get behind some other parts of this, then we'll bring volunteers in? Or do you need people if somebody was watching and thought, I want to be a part of that, is it time to do it, or is it
It's always time to do it.
Yeah, okay.
I think so.
So what kind of things could somebody help you with then?
Really being a connector, I believe, is the best thing we can do as people. And so if you know someone who is going through a battle with cancer or a battle with any other disease with a child, connect us to them, because then we can reach out to them and we can connect with them. And that really is the best service that we can have right now. As we get down the road and we have a need hopefully we'll have a need for volunteers that can put wagons together for kids and deliver them and things like that. Right now we don't have that need. The biggest need we have right now is we have too many wagons and we need more kids.
You have too many wagons.
Yeah.
Folks, we have too many wagons. We need to get some wagons moving.
Yeah.
Well, straighten this out for me. So you said, hopefully we'll get to the place where we need people to put wagons together, but you're drop shipping wagons, right? So when they get there, are they not put together? I mean, you don't give the family a box and go, "Hey, here's a project for you."
That's the beauty.
What a great gift.
Good point, because we did
Thanks
get
a lot,
wagon
Kevin.
like that. Yeah. That's the beauty of the wagon. You open the box, you pull it out, you pull a cord, and it unfolds, and it's ready to go.
Okay.
There are no pieces. You don't assemble the handle. There's no screws, no parts to put together, anything. That's why I loved it.
Yeah.
And that's why we think other people love it. So it really comes in a box. You pull it out of it's the beach wagon. You pull it out of the box.
Okay.
You open it up. It's ready to go. There was intention behind the wagon we selected, and it was it held the kid. It was easy for the parents. It was easy to put in the trunk of the car to pull out of the trunk, and so it completely collapsible. No parts, no pieces.
Oh, good.
None of that. Yeah.
So you brought us a hat, right? You brought us a Hug Your People hat. And so online, this is how we find you, right?
Yeah.
So you're on Facebook,
Instagram.
And then you have a video. Do you have a YouTube that you're doing your videos on, right?
I
You
do.
have a YouTube channel. Do they find you by your name or you by Hug Your People?
My name, we've kind of converted everything social media wise. As soon as my son was diagnosed, my Instagram went straight to Hug Your People.
Okay.
And every post on there has been about his journey. YouTube is a blend of some of my business videos, but also a lot of updates on Baxley and what we're doing and some of the organizations we're a part of or that we want to be a part of. So it's really a mix, but I think it really is the best representation of life, and real life. Like my whole life can't be cancer. My wife's whole life can't be cancer. It is a huge, huge part of it. But there is that element of you're as good for the people as you are rested. Yeah. And so the normalcy has to come in there. And so that's why that. But really social media, Facebook, hashtag Hug Your People, you'll see all the posts on it. HYP exclamation point is another hashtag they use.
Okay.
All the people that have been so kind to share our message and to donate and things like that. So you'll find a ton of people out there who use that sort of hashtag notation.
Yeah.
But that is the best way to find us. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure that people can find you, whether they want to give you some money. Give us some money. Or, if they know somebody and they want to connect or they need a wagon for a family member or a friend, they, want to be sure that they know how to get you. So,
or any other needs. And I'll add that, we're really good friends with Rock Solid Foundation, who does a lot of work with cancer kids and Courageous Kids. A lot of other organizations who really help families navigate the waters. So
you're really a resource beyond just the wagons. Because you had to be, you're connected with a lot of things. So if anybody's facing the diagnosis, going through the journey, you could really help in a lot of ways.
We could, and worst case, we'll give you a big hug.
Yeah. Okay.
But we will use all our resources. We've had to learn the hard way, and we've had to really just immerse ourselves. My wife's done a great job of learning all the resources available, and it's a lot of information to sift through. So if you do have any questions, just reach out. We may or may not know the answer, but if we don't, we'll connect you with someone who does, for sure.
So whether we need a resource or a wagon, if we want to give money, I just want people to know how they can find you. And then outside of cancer and Hug Your People and what this has become in your life, you made the statement, cancer is a big part of our life right now, but it is not our entire lives.
Right.
And so part of being able to keep that perspective, you're an entrepreneur, you are a coach,
I am.
Right? And so what's the name of your coaching business?
It's under my name, Kevin Hoover Coaching.
Okay.
And I work with entrepreneurs, most of them parents, in navigating the waters of productivity. How do you run a business and a family? How do you make a successful multi-six-figure business and never miss a soccer game?
There you go.
So that's kind of my background and my forte, which came in really handy when we got into this because I had to actually put to practice all the things that I coach around, which I know can be a very scary thing sometimes.
Yeah.
When you have to put your money where your mouth is. So
absolutely, you got to walk that talk, baby. Yeah. But I think it's important for our folks to know. So if somebody's watching and they think, I could use a hand right now, or I could use a little, somebody who understands what we're facing in our family, to know about you in particular, that it is part of your skill set is this mindset that you have shared with us and how you made a decision and how you were able to see controllables and uncontrollables and where am I spending my time and how do I get kind of thrown out of the loop. you know it, you understand it, you've lived it, you're living it daily now, which I think gives you a special edge
For sure.
to help parents. And so I think it's important that they understand that about you. If they're thinking, God, I don't know, he's kind of a cool guy, but should I talk to him or not? Yeah, you really
you should.
Yeah, definitely, because there's a depth of understanding that you have about human beings and navigating difficult waters, and that goes a little above and beyond.
I like to think so. It hasn't been easy, and I think looking at business and life and the things that we've had to do and adjustments we've had to make, it really puts perspective of why do we think we can't be successful and a parent? Why can't we be successful? We can be both, and we can. And I definitely lived a different way before all this, for sure. I was in with everyone else, realizing all the things I've realized and learning what I've learned. And basically, growing a business on free hospital Wi-Fi is possible. It is completely possible. I'm living proof.
Okay.
It's not preferable, but it's possible.
Possible. So we love possible around here. That's our whole thing. We take people from what they think is impossible to becoming and living an I'm possible lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So I love that you're doing it even on free hospital Wi-Fi. So what would you say? So look into the camera for us, if you will, and just talk to those folks who are sitting there and they're going, well, I feel this call, but I don't know, maybe not. Well, there's too many obstacles. It's impossible. I couldn't do it. What would you say to someone who's sitting there thinking, I just don't know, like to encourage them to just do it? Like talk to them, give them your message.
That's so good. So here's what I would say. If you're thinking there's something greater for me, there's something bigger for me, I'm feeling this itch, I'm feeling this drive, and I'm not sure what to do about it. In fact, the easiest thing to do about it is nothing. And so what I would say to you is I would say start with your belief, because everything starts with your belief. If you believe it's impossible, it most certainly is. If you believe it is possible for you, it most certainly is. And once you form your belief around whatever it is you're being drawn to or called to, that will directly impact your commitment. And as you know, commitment, we say we're committed, but if we don't have a belief behind it, our commitment level goes up and down. Half belief is half commitment. It really is. Those two are so related that it really is remarkable once you realize it, that your half commitment is not commitment issues, it's belief issues. And so when you look at what you're really going through and why you're feeling the things you do and why you're talking yourself out of taking that big chance or taking that big risk, it's because you haven't formed the belief that it's for you yet. So start with, do I believe this is possible? The answer should be yes. Everyone, we're living proof that the possible is here. Then you look at, am I fully committed? Am I all in? Am I going to do anything I can? When my family got into this situation, we had no option. We had to commit. We had to believe. There was no other choice. Looking back, I had choices a lot in my life, but really, had I formed the belief and had I developed the 100% commitment, what comes next? The results you want. Belief, commitment, results. So if you start with your belief and you form your belief around what it is that's really motivating you, really pushing you, really driving you, that will directly impact your all in, your full commitment, your full understanding, your full effort. And from that, you know what happens. You get the results you want.
Okay.
Sorry, did I go too far?
No, you did not. I'm over here. I am in your amen corner.
All right.
Yeah. So with those words, folks, we are going to close out another edition of the Wynn Show, because Kevin, you just brought it home for us. If that doesn't get them up off the couch, right, and moving in to making your impact in the world, wow, yeah, that was it. Just keep hitting rewind and watch that last couple of minutes. And we will hope that you subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch more episodes of The Wynn Show with amazing people like Kevin Hoover. Please check out Hug Your People and subscribe here to The Wynn Show and go make your impact. We'll see you next time. Bye now. Thank you for watching this episode of The Wynn Show. This is Wynn, and I'm inviting you to discover what's possible in your life by joining me in the I'm Possible Discovery program. You can find all the details at bsharp.us/join.